Hi guys, and welcome back. Today's podcast is very important, and if you're getting it, then it is definitely for you. And I would say that what I'm about to talk about may be quite sensitive to those that are listening, and this is mainly the reason why I wish to do this. I am called to do this, and I want to do it very much because you need it, and I'm here to help. So what I'm going to talk about today is why you feel displeasure and resentment, and let's call it numbness for now. I am going to get into it, so I'm going to explain everything towards your divine masculine and towards your twin journey. This may be something that maybe makes you feel like you have failed or that you have done something wrong. You have not. Everything is precisely the way it's supposed to be, but I do want to explain what you are experiencing, because when this happens, when the feminine on a twin flame journey arrives at that specific moment of her journey, it is very disorienting, because basically what is happening from the moment you have been activated, so from the moment you have met your twin in this lifetime, so you have been activated, you have been awakened, up until this starts happening, you're basically wired to, well, it's not going to sound good, but it's kind of the way I am being told to say it. So you're basically wired to obsess over the journey and over the connection and over everything that is happening to you and your twin. So because the journey is designed this way, because the twin flame journey is a vehicle that your soul have chosen to use for ascension purposes and to help humanity. This is just kind of the design of it, right? So the feminine goes first, as in feminine leads energetically. And so some things happen to, I'm going to say it like this. So some things are happening to the feminine first. I have said this always, and I'm still going to say it, that when you as the feminine get activated, that does not mean that your masculine is just running around like a headless chicken, not knowing or understanding anything. They do not get the guidance in the same way that you do. They do not get the answers at that point in time. They do feel that meeting you and all of the feelings that you're sparking, this profound connection, the telepathy and this insane attraction and pull towards you, because it's not just sex, it's not about your body, but it's everything about you. They know that this is something out of the ordinary. Okay, I just got shown the song by Alex Warren. I am very bad in remembering the names, but it's the song The Ordinary. I think it's Alex Warren. I am very sorry if I'm mispronouncing or just not remembering the artist's name. But either way, so your divine masculine has felt the profoundness of the connection. It's just that they are behind the veil. They are a little bit more in the dark because they have some different and more lessons to go through compared to you. And then because their way of going through this connection is a little bit different than yours, because your soul is meant to experience both sides of this journey. But as the feminine, you get to experience the profound knowledge and wisdom that you already have within you, but you're being reminded about the like profound eternal connection that you have with your twin, because your twin is you. They're basically the other half of your soul, even though it's a kind of taboo in the spiritual community, because like everybody's telling everybody else that, oh, you're whole without your twin. Yes, we are, but that is not. I am saying this way out for a reason, because you have to remember that your twin is not separate from you, and it's just easier to think of it this way, that yes, they are your other half. It's just that you're your whole person at the same time. Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna get into this. I can get into it in a different podcast. But either way, so yeah, so you feminine have been basically wired to you get all the guidance, you get so much knowledge, you are being shown so many things. You as the feminine are let's say associated more with the moon energy. I'm not talking about moon cycles, I'm talking about of kind of what moon represents, which is the unseen, right? The hidden things, the veiled things, the hidden knowledge, I guess. Whereas the masculine is the opposite, right? They stand in the light, it's very much showing, and things are for show, sadly. Well, not sadly, that is just their journey. But you get all these answers, and you have been told like, hey, this is your twin, this is the other you, this is your soul basically. And the whole point of the two of you meeting in this lifetime is actually to come back together. No matter how many incarnations or how many lifetimes you have spent on earth up to this point, since you actually separated, or your soul fragmented basically, because of course there was also separation from the source, but that's a different story as well. Now you're meant to come together, no matter how your journey looks like at the end of your incarnation this time around. Even if you look back and think like, well, I didn't get to maybe have the union in quotation marks with my twin, there has been some sort of step closer to the merge either way. So yeah, the whole point is for the two of you to get back together, because you're actually meant to be whole again, as in whole souls. So you're meant to recall all of your fragmented selves from all the timelines, including your twin. And what happens is that once you as the feminine have cleared out your karma, and you have healed so much, both for yourself, so for your polarity, and then your twin's polarity, as much as you are of course supposed to, because they are doing the work as well, there comes a moment where your how do I say it, source? Your mindset, thank you. Your mindset kind of shifts, and not just mindset, because it's not ego, but like your, well, I do have to say mindset because I have no other way to say it, but basically your mindset kind of shifts 180. It goes from like this otherworldly and eternal devotion to your twin, to the connection, because you know how profound it is. You understand the severity of the situation, or like the sanctity of it, that, well, my twin is my soul, like this person is me, it's my person, right? This isn't like, oh, well, I'm gonna say it a different way. So you understand how important it is, and you, up to a certain point, thank you, source, up to a certain point, you have understood like how important that is and how rare it actually is, at least at this point in time, for humanity to be blessed to be incarnated at the same time with your twin and actually have the honor of helping humanity raise the conscious vibration and so on, right? So you fight for it, no matter how the 3D looks like. For you, you're devoted, and depending on, of course, on what your soul chose to experience in this specific lifetime, but you pour a lot of your energy into the connection, right? No matter actually how much that is. And there comes a moment where it is so emotionally and physically and mentally taxing for you, feminine, that basically not only your own bodies, so your emotional body, your mental body, your physical body, your basically energetic field, right? All of you are screaming at you, trying to get you to stop. On top of that, the 3D, because the 3D is created in a certain way at that point in time to kind of do what it's doing to you, what it has been doing to you, which is kind of reinforcing the illusion that you're separate, that there are all of these blocks between you and your twin, and well, there's so much pain and so much suffering, right? So all of these things are basically pushing you and putting huge pressure on you to make you stop. And the thing is, no matter how much you mentally, if you will, from your human perspective, try to fight that, that just doesn't happen, because this is your soul being absolutely exhausted and out of energy. Your cup is so empty that there is like, you have been scraping the bottom from your own cup and pouring it into the connection, into others, right? Depending on what kind of karma you have chosen to work through in this lifetime. You have been overgiving, oversharing, overcompensating, and just giving and giving and giving, and you have not been paid back. Well, paid back. You have this giving has not been reciprocated in any way, or in like very small way. There's also a point to that, right? Because it meant to force you to break this pattern. That's why basically you're giving and there's no reciprocation from anywhere, no situation, no person. Is just basically the universe is not giving you back because it's forcing you to collapse. As cruel as it may sound, and if you're like in a very bad energy, like very dense energy, when you're listening to it, it sounds very cruel. I don't mean to be cruel, but what it does, it's actually meant to break you completely. It's meant to bring you to your knees, but not to punish, but to make you finally give up the fighting for the connection. And what I mean by that, the source, your benevolent spirit guides, your ancestors, angels, whomever you work with or identify with, right? All of these beautiful beings that are helping you specifically on your journey, they are not doing that, nor do they wish for you to break, to make you give up because you deserve to be punished or something, or deserve to suffer. It's just that the point is that only when you break down completely, when this twin flame journey brings you back to your knees, when you arrive at the moment where you realize that you have nothing, you have given everything and a little more to the connection that has given you nothing in return. And I'm saying it in this specific way for a very specific reason. You have been giving and pouring energy into the connection, and nothing has been reciprocated. Only when you run out of strength to continue doing that, only then you're allowed the clarity to realize, to kind of like stand back or standing to the side and looking at the situation from the outside and realizing, wait, hold on. So I have been carrying this connection, as you have been told to, of course, by your guides, by the universe, source, however you wish to call it, to do this, because there were lessons incorporated into that. That was very important, that you were doing these things and you were learning these lessons. But that moment, when that moment arrives, where you get that clarity, you realize that you have been doing so much, and in the how do I say, in the moment, your 3D reality, nothing has changed for the positive, as in your connection is either where it has been, or it's in some sort of long-term no contact situation. And that kind of shows you, okay, my guides are showing me that, or telling me to tell you that you're like, the work has been futile. But it's not that it has been that it gave nothing. Which everything you've been doing have actually given you the clarity, because you poured and poured, and you gave everything to your masculine, you gave everything for the connection, because you believe in it. Not that you believe in it, you know it's true, and you understand the value of it, because it is you. Your twin, even though they occupy a different human vessel, I guess I can say, it is still you, it's your soul. And as the feminine, you have been allowed to see their patterns and their karma, and like all of their shadows, and also the reasons why they were like that, and why they were acting the way they have been acting, and all the reasons why, right? So you have a lot of compassion. You knew exactly all the whys and all the things. As the feminine, you also are very much aware of what your masculine has been doing, no matter how much they try to hide or lie or ignore you, or like not have any contact with you. You are always given the truth about your twin, about your masculine, and about like what they're doing, even if you don't want to, even like if at some point you feel like, well, that has nothing to do with me, why would I want to know? No matter what, it is still being shown to you, because you have to kind of know, even if it's, let's say, kind of useless in the moment. It's there, it's given to you in this moment, because you can refer it back to it at some point in the future. So only when you give up, only when this connection, basically your connection with your twin, brings you down to your knees, and you give up, not because you want to give up, because you have no more to give. You realize that all your presence, and like within the connection, and all the presence that you have allowed your twin, all the energy, the time, your dedication, your commitment, your faithfulness, has basically gone to waste, right? Because outwardly in the 3D, it has not given, or it has not moved the connection forward. Actually, what has been happening, that all of that work, all of that emotional and mental and physical labor that you have been putting into the connection has made sure that your masculine has had like a cushion and like a protective bubble around him that has allowed him to not face himself and his karma and his lesson like fully, because you were cushioning all the blows and all the lessons. And that is also why distractions that your masculine has been using have had some power over them. It was because of what you were doing. And then comes a moment where your soul, the part that let's say you embody, I guess I can say, says enough, no more. There's no more to give. The soul contract that was active for you to keep on doing that has ended. Tables shift. So let's say your mindset kind of shifts, even if you are still kind of in your old ways. So even if you kind of want to like keep on working for the connection, right? You don't want to give up. I myself can say that I struggled very much with, because I know how many people have given up on my twin. I never wanted to, I made commitment that I will never give up on him, because how could I do that? I know that he is me. It's basically me just experiencing different things. And even if I cannot connect myself consciously exact to that other body, I know it's me. It is my soul experiencing these things, and I hated it. I was very hurt by it, by all of the things that were happening to my twin and are or have been happening, I guess. And it has hurt me so much, and I have been pouring so much energy into that because I believe that if I don't do it, then who's gonna do that, right? If my twin is stuck in these situations and there's so many pressures and there are so many lessons that they go through, how is that gonna work out? And so maybe even though you may be still kind of thinking in the same way, your soul just says no, stop, no more, and then there is no more. The shift that happens within you, and this is kind of the sensitive part of today's podcast, is that once you get to that point, besides the grief that follows, because you understand just how much of yourself you have poured into this connection, and you realize that that has not been appreciated by that other you, so your other self. So there is a grief because you feel unappreciated, you don't feel seen, you feel taken for granted, because yes, all of that is true to a certain degree, of course. So besides that grief, there's also a lot of anger. There's also a lot of resentment. And once you acknowledge these emotions within you, so when you acknowledge that heavy energy, which is very, very dense, the rage, the anger, the grief, all of those things that have been suppressed, not consciously by you, it's just that you have been running on a different programming where all of your focus was to make sure to kind of care for the connection and labor mentally and energetically and emotionally, and you spend so much time on it and on working on yourself and on the connection as you're meant to, right? Because you're the feminine, you are the energy worker, and you are like the big alchemist within your twin connection. So you're the one that transmutes this huge part of energy, not everything again, but huge part of it. Then even if you don't want to give up or don't want to stop during that period of time, so up until that shift happens, no matter if you have been on this journey for a year or 20 years, there has been many, many moments where there was this energy of indignation and like unfairness and anger and sadness and grief that you have suppressed because you basically have put it aside because you focused so much on the connection and on your twin and on your energy, and you wanted to heal and you wanted to work through everything, both for your own sake but also for the sake of the connection. Now all of that suppressed energy is rushing outwards. So all of that indignation, all of that resentment is coming out. And what is strange for you and what has been very confusing, I'm pretty sure, is all of that resentment is very much directed at your twin. It's not that you have stopped loving your twin. It's not that you have stopped desiring your masculine. It's not about that. It's just that that part fades almost to a background where it kind of doesn't matter. And it's not because it doesn't matter to you anymore. It's just that these emotions that have been suppressed, okay, I'm shown a tsunami, so it's basically like overflowing. It's basically dimming that part of you, or that energy that still wants to like pour into the connection and cares about the connection, doesn't want to lose the connection. Basically is the volume, the sheer volume of that very dense energy that you have been carrying and suppressing. Because look back at your own individual journey and look just how much time you have been in this situation where your divine masculine has been rejecting this connection. And I'm saying rejecting this connection because this is the truth. Their human self, people call them runners and the feminine's chasers, right? So we say that the runner is distracting themselves and they're running away. Yes, that is the conscious choice that they make. Well, conscious as in like this is the human choice that they have made. Basically, they have rejected you and the connection. Even if they feel how profound that is, even if they feel all the love, that is what they have done. And you that have basically been overwhelmed by all of that suppressed grief and sadness and feelings of betrayal and the resentment, now you see it for exactly what it is from your human perspective. Because yes, you're of course very much aware that from the soul perspective, from higher perspective, yes, of course, all of that has been chosen by your soul. So you basically have chosen what you and your masculine are going to do as humans in this specific lifetime. And you have directed everything with everybody else involved, all the situations, right? All the people. So you know that, but at this point, that perspective is no longer what you are even able to focus on, because you're meant to work through all of that resentment, like from the perspective of your human self. And it's only then that you actually, what I'm trying to say, you kind of see the connection from the side, almost like from an outsider's point of view, where you see that, wait, hold on, you as the feminine has been doing so much for your masculine, for the connection. You have created safe space for your masculine. Sorry, I could just not say this. And you have basically given so much to your masculine, and that has not been appreciated. That has not been reciprocated, not appreciated, not chosen, because I mean, here you are, right? And because these, first of all, these emotions have very heavy, dense energy. So if you're working through all of them or any of them, really, you understand how dense they are and how difficult they are kind of to almost like get out of. So it's difficult to kind of try to shift your energy out from that. But also because there is so much of it that it dims the connection. It dims basically, or veils, all of these things that you have held sacred, that actually are sacred, right? So the profoundness of your connection, the absolute, well, privilege, I guess, of meeting your twin and having this chance at a beautiful, just transcendent connection, eternal love with your, I say soulmate, but basically your, I say, well, soulmate, your twin, right? Your own soul, the person that was made to love you, and the person that you were made to love. And it is absolutely something that destroys you, and that actually destroys the connection. So that heavy energy that you have been overwhelmed by, so all that resentment, it may be very confusing, because when you're in the midst of it, you, oh sorry, I hope it wasn't too much interference in the recording. Basically there's so much of it that, and because that heavy energy dims like the sacredness of the, not sacredness, it dims like the higher perspective for you. You realize that, wait, hold on, I want none of it in my life. I no longer want any of that in my life. You realize, because this is kind of the reason why you have been forced onto your knees and you have been forced to give up. Give up all that work that you have been doing, because what you have been doing, you have been laboring for two. And as much as it was very important to do, because it taught you patience and dedication and commitment and unconditional love and all of the other things, right? Forgiveness and so on. There comes a moment where because you have integrated all of these lessons, that dynamic where you are the, let's say, chaser, so you're doing all of these things, you continue working on the connection, you're continuing to work on yourself, right, in a way, as in like healing, and you're breaking all of these patterns within you, you're learning to self-regulate, you are learning to remember to kind of always see past the 3D illusion, like of, or the illusion of the 3D reality. So you always see every situation for what it actually is, that is just a lesson for the person that you see, and so on and so on. Now it's when the shift happens, the time came for you to kind of realize that because you have integrated these lessons, the runner and chaser dynamic no longer works. It just, there's no more need for that because you have already integrated everything, which is amazing, right? Good job. Really, really good job. You should be absolutely proud of yourself for doing all of that. But when that moment happens, it kind of crushes you because you see what your human self has actually experienced. So what you as the feminine got to experience with your masculine. So you see how your masculine's human self made the choices that they made, acted in the way that they have acted, right? Thought that the way they were thinking and believed in the things that they believed, and chose situations and people and loyalties and so on and so forth that they did, which was not you. And that is the moment where you basically are releasing your divine masculine and the connection. Not as, oh, okay, I'm gonna let my twin go because I love them so much and I want them to be happy no matter what, even if that means that I am not a part of their life, because that is what letting go means. And yes, there comes a moment where you have to learn that lesson, and it's very difficult to learn, right? But you do, because of course you do. You're made for it. You're meant to succeed. You're made to succeed, and you already have, because all of it is actually already happened. But letting go of the connection and of the person in a way where it's like, you know what? No, I want none of it in my life, because I have learned to love myself. I have learned commitment to myself. I have learned to choose myself, because my masculine doesn't. And you realize that during this whole time, from the moment of your activation, your masculine has actually never chosen you, right? All of these patterns or behaviors that they exhibited, that you have seen, right? That they have been exhibiting towards other people, their commitments and obligations, right? All of the decisions and so on, all of that, they chose everybody else and everything else and not you. And you know, if somebody from like the spiritual community would listen to me now, they would say like, oh my God, how could you say that? I'm saying this because you at this moment in time, or either are in the midst of it, or you're about to experience it, or you're just like right after it, I'm trying to give you the clarity that what your human self is rejecting, basically what your human self is no longer ever going to accept again, is someone that is flaky, that is not committed to you, that is not being their authentic self and choosing you. Because the moment the masculine chooses himself, they choose you because you guys are one. But each and every block that, of course, they are working through, which of course always is the reasons why they do not choose you or the connection, all of that is bullshit, right? But of course it doesn't feel like bullshit for them, because then they're in the midst of it. Then they have to work through these things. They have to unlearn these patterns and remember the truth, right? And in the end they do, of course they do. But your human self feels that anger or rage, I guess, even, and all that grief and sadness and hurt, and all of that, all of those feelings of rejection that you have when it comes to your divine masculine and your connection with them, is not your rejection of your divine masculine or them as a being, but it is rejection of all the illusions. That's a first. but also of their old self. And what I mean by that is their old patterns. Basically, even though it's, I don't know if it's confusing or maybe even kind of scary, because you think like, wait, hold on, I spent all of these years in a connection and it has very much been one-sided, right? Because it has been, well, it feels like this, and energetically, yes, it very much has been one-sided, because you have been giving and your masculine has been taking. There has not been any reciprocity, because of course at that point in time, or that point of the journey, it was not meant to be. But basically you have integrated the lesson and you realize that you deserve so much better than all of their behavior and the type of patterns and behaviors and belief systems that they have been living by and doing and choosing. So I really wanted to talk about this and share this with you guys and put it outside, put it out into the universe with love, because I know that when those moments came to me, I was so confused, because I could not name these things something other than this journey has destroyed me, killed me, I am numb to everything and I want nothing. And it was so scary at some point, but kind of like confusing, because I'm thinking like, there has been all of that intensity and all of that labor. I mean, I personally spent years doing this, and you listen to it probably too. And like, where all of this, like, why all of this, right? All of this, and for what? But this is exactly what's happening. So basically, you have come to the point where you, the feminine, can no longer go back to your old patterns. Your whole, all of your bodies, so your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, right, has integrated the self-love and commitment to self to such a degree that the mere idea of you kind of going back and becoming, let's say, the chaser again, and I don't know how to say it, maybe displaying these patterns again towards your masculine, so allowing the silence, allowing the allowing like for the silence and this, you know, unspoken things between you and your masculine, and basically excusing all of their behavior and decision making, because you understand where that comes from, and forgiving them all the time and continuously pouring into that connection. You understand that you can no longer do it because it doesn't serve you anymore. It has served the purpose that it was meant to serve, which was you learning to choose yourself, to stand on your own, to choose yourself no matter what. Because of course you have been tested many times in many different ways, right? Also with your masculine, and you just realize that no, it's either my masculine choosing me properly, putting me first, and actually investing and committing into that connection, or there will be nothing at all. And that was the whole point of this whole part of the journey that you have just completed. But when this happens, because those like really high highs and really low lows no longer happen for you, because you are past that, it might feel like you no longer like have the ability to feel. Basically it feels kind of flat, or you, like, I would call it that I was feeling numb, because I did not think that I felt anything, but I did. That was just emotional neutrality, and that is the whole point, or at least at this point in time. So the point was to get you to heal your nervous system, to learn to regulate yourself, no matter like the storms outside of you, no matter what your masculine did, no matter what was happening with your connection, no matter what your 3D was mirroring to you, what was happening, and so on. Even like all the storms within you, you had to learn to no longer tolerate people treating you the way they have been treating you. And because you have passed these lessons, you have integrated them beautifully, and now you're no longer willing to go back to that old dynamic between you and your twin, the idea, or like, let's say, the memories of your twin that you have of their behavior towards you and others, and then that huge contrast between how your masculine treated you versus how they treated other people, and how much better they treated other people, because that is actually truly what was happening, right? You no longer can accept that. So you have advanced, I can say, I guess I could call it that, on your journey. And now you are, well, you always have been the guiding line, but basically now you're like holding the flag. You're not standing still and waiting for your masculine, but because you have removed this like tremendous amount of energy and your presence from your shared energetic field with your masculine, basically you have cut yourself loose from that old masculine, if you will. They now only feel nothing. Well, no, that was like a bad way to say it, but they do feel, of course, but they no longer feel you. They no longer feel your presence. Basically, that cushion that I was kind of talking about, that you are providing for them, like emotionally and energetically, that is gone. So what's happening now, because you have directed all of your energy back into your own field and you're keeping it close, you're investing into yourself, you're branching out in other ways, right? No matter what you're doing, they actually feel the loss. And it is not that they just now kind of realize like, oh gosh, I may have lost my feminine. Yes, they do feel that. They have felt it before, but not only is it confirmed to them, because they of course have the internal guidance, they do have their gut feeling, their intuition, right, that they're learning to listen to more, but also energetically there's this huge void and silence. And something that I actually mentioned on one of my previous podcast videos that I have posted here was that because the energy is, your energy is removed from masculine's field, the external noise is gone. Like all of these distractions that they could use to distract themselves, because you are basically kind of helping them energetically and emotionally, that is gone. So all of that, these outside stimuli no longer have the power that they have had before. So the masculine is forced to actually look at everything, and it's only now that you, divine feminine, have basically stopped looking at them and turned away from them and away from the connection, because you're putting your energy somewhere else. This is only now when the masculine can actually properly face these things. And even though they have been working alongside you, parallel to you, right, they have their own journey, they had their own lessons, it is only now that they can face like the deepest wounds and like the biggest things, the biggest blocks that they were for the two of, or like between the two of you. No matter what is going to happen from now on, whether the masculine, your masculine, will rise up to meet you and will seek you out, and the two of you will just harmoniously, peacefully come back into each other's life, or the masculine will actually fade away and your life is going to continue the way what you have decided. You are at peace and you're going to be at peace. So you have completed such a big and arduous part of the journey. You're amazing, and you should be amazed at just how much, and you know how much you have put into that connection. But if you are like ever kind of thinking like, wow, how weird it feels that this almost like obsession like thoughts of my connection with my divine masculine, like it's not there anymore. Like, yes, you think of them, they are there, but it's almost like part of the background, because it is, because it is now. That what I have been told basically is that all that energetic weight that you yourself have been carrying for all these years, up to the point where you kind of turned away, all of that weight is now transferred to the masculine, because they have to learn and experience what you had to go through, so that they could understand you too and have compassion for you and integrate that and all of the things, right? So do not be alarmed. You have not failed on your journey. You have not lost your masculine. Your divine masculine is your divine masculine. You will never lose them. There will always be a part of you, even if you never see them again, even if you peacefully continue your life and they peacefully also continue their life, once they also like integrate all of these big lessons. Or maybe the two of you come together and continue life together. No matter what the outcome is, you have not failed. You're not broken. You're not emotionally broken. You're just finally at such a high frequency, vibration wise, that you experience joy and love and purity. But because it doesn't feel like these highs from before, your mind is kind of wired to think that, oh, maybe something is wrong. Maybe I have like, I don't know, failed on this journey. No. This is how emotional neutrality feels. And for a period of time, you will very much be very angry with your masculine. Maybe you will even say that you want nothing to do with them and so on, because you don't. But what you actually don't want is not that you don't want them. You don't want their behavior from the past. And their behavior from the past, the moment they integrate the lesson, those old timelines will collapse. Basically, that like it never happened, because that's just kind of how things work. Same things for you and your lessons. Like all of these old timelines, they no longer exist because you have collapsed them. You have integrated the lessons. So that sliver of your soul that was doing these things and experiencing these things, it's back with you in your current reality. So everything is precisely the way it's meant to be. You are not numb. You're just regulated. Your nervous system is starting to feel safe in yourself, no matter or despite what is happening outside, or despite what is happening within your connection. So I really, really hope that this has helped you. I have tried to get it out, and really I'm uploading it with the intention of it finding precisely every single one of you beautiful souls that really need it, because I know that I needed it, because it was confusing as hell to be suddenly like at peace from nowhere, and then the next second when my masculine's energy field merged with mine and I was raging at things, and it was a lot, right? So I hope that this is gonna help you. It's gonna help you. It already did, but I hope I will see you next time. And yeah, thank you for being here. Bye.